Our opening song this morning is I Am the Thinker. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye, cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. If you ask me what am I am beauty, I am joy, I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light, right in someone's darkest night. I'm so much more than meets the eye, cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life.
So, good morning, everybody. How are you? Well, I think everybody here knows me, but I'm Jackie Peterson, and I'm a member of your board of trustees. And so on behalf of Reverend Donna and also the full board of trustees, I'm privileged to welcome you to the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you're right where you're supposed to be. No matter what your thoughts are about your spiritual relationship, that's perfect. And that's where you start from and continue to grow. I know that all of us have grown tremendously, not only individually, but as a group, right? That's evidenced through the love that we have for one another, and it feels so good. And that's our vision statement. What is it? Love in action every day in every way. And we express this love by learning and living the principles of the science of mind. And you all know that they're on the back of our bulletin, so would you please read them with me now? They're right at the top. I believe there is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe. I believe this intelligent power is only good. I believe this intelligence expresses as me. I believe through my conscious use of this power, I create my life as happy, healthy, and complete, and so it is. So I'd like to really thank everybody that makes this possible. First of all, each one of you sitting in the seats here, thank you for coming. You truly are my family. Dan's in my family. And Susan and the staff, that everybody helps out in the kitchen, everybody who brings food, thank you for that. Our musicians, all of them, and the people who run the electronics. How about Reverend Donna? We thank her too. Yeah. And how about all of our practitioners, including the practitioner on duty today? Thank you. We do this because we are. We do this because we are committed to one another.
The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you, and you and I are one. Namaste. Namaste.
Good morning. My name is Melinda. The center is very excited about our class that starts this Thursday. We're so happy that we have 15 people signed up. And so I just want to ask you, if you haven't paid yet, come a little early so we can take care of that before class starts. Thank you. I light this candle to represent the light within every single one of us, and may your light shine bright. For our invocation, the presence, the power is already here. It is willingness, acceptance, and recognition which gives entrance to the divine. I welcome the opportunity to love fully, completely, and joyfully. I give joy and love to all, knowing that the gift of life is not to me alone. My creative power is not an act of will. It is rather an act of willingness to believe. And here is the peace we seek, the joy we share, the love that motivates our actions. I give thanks for this gathering to celebrate the magnificent life we share, and for Reverend Donna's words of wisdom. And together we say, and so it is. My sharing today comes from a writing I did, prompted by the writers group. And I have a wonderful announcement to let you all know. If you didn't look at your calendar yet, October has 5 Sundays. And on the 5th Sunday, the writers group is going to share again. So I'm just doing mine a little early. The gate. Some gates appear formidable, others inviting. Yet because it is an opening, we yearn to move through it, to see where it will lead us. We have an innate curiosity to discover something new, something different, and perhaps awakening. In order to have a gate or doorway, there's usually a barrier, such as a fence surrounding it. Usually it indicates something different will be on the other side. So we want to learn what's inside the fence that we cannot see until we open the gate. The opening is an invitation. What will your reply be? Some of us are greater explorers than others, not afraid of the risk, but compelled by the unknown. It is true we need to be right, so there's a possibility of moving into a foreign land where our wisdom will be compromised. That fear alone may stop us from entering. Yet, when we join a group that loves to explore, our willingness can gain ground. In search for happiness and joy, we are invited to move into a new way of being, which can be scary. As we move into a different perspective, it can be hard to let go of our old operating system, which we are familiar with and know how to navigate. Are we ready for more happiness? Or will we allow the fear of the unknown to keep the gate locked? Perhaps we need to walk out of the old gate to escape our old limitations. Does this gate of enlightenment swing both ways? I'm not sure. Yet I've heard that once you've experienced the pure light of good, there's no going back. There are no restrictions to your choice, so I would guess you can go back if you want to. The presumption is you will not. Is divinity within your grasp? Of course it is. Do you want to experience it as your being? We might assume that would be a definite yes. However, I know of people who have turned away as the lumens of the light are too much for them to face. Can we just imagine how glorious and fulfilling it will be when we decide to open the gate and walk into a whole new world? Our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs will be adjusted. Are we ready? Since the gate swings both ways, let us enter to the experience of the divine. Here we learn a real experience of the oneness, realizing everything good in life is within us. As Ernest Holmes shares, all your highest hopes and dreams are here. The echo of the divine is now in your intellect. The voice of its unspoken word is in your mind. The feeling of its light and life is in your heart. The emotion of its imagination is in your soul. His description is inviting. It's then you realize the barriers between you and your greater good are not visible, structured barriers in themselves. They are things of thoughts, feelings, and belief. Namaste. Thank you. I'll take the candle and hold the high watch, and I await for your prayer request. There are no requests too big or too small. We appreciate there's a thing we learned at the convention that said, "Make my day, ask me to pray." Thank you.
Well, there's only one song to do after a talk like that. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. about service, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors on this heart of mine. Ooh. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Here we go. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors on this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. On this heart of mine. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. You nailed it. Good morning. Well, we're continuing to play with our paradox. And this week's topic is shaking up our worldview, but we don't touch on that too much. I guess it's sort of implied within what Home Office gave us. But one of the things I love about the topic of paradox is that it encourages us to be open and flexible and remember that there may be other ways of seeing a situation. There may be other answers than the one we're holding on to. You know, last week we talked about how a shift in perspective can lead to a surprising resolution. You know, that's how we find answers, is shift the perspective. Good-natured flexibility, and that's what I want to start with really, is a phrase that our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, often used. In the Holmes Papers, he writes, "I think it's important to maintain a good natured flexibility in all our studies, to realize that no matter how much we study each day's accumulation of knowledge and facts, be they physical, psychic, or spiritual, they but give us a fresh starting point for something else." And in Freedom from Stress, he writes, "We need to develop a good-natured flexibility. Nature demands this, for if the tree did not bend before the wind, it would break. We are apt to hold our thought so static that it finally becomes a habit, which destroys not only our mental happiness, but also the spiritual influx. When we are willing to see more than just one side, we begin to incorporate this good-natured flexibility. So, we've all heard the adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And that was penned by English writer John Haywood in 1546. And what it says about, in Googling it, what it says is, learning a new lesson of life for senior citizens is really difficult because they are least open to new ideas and learning. So many of us as we age do become a bit more rigid in our thinking. Like our bodies, they're not as flexible as they used to be. In many cases, we've made up our minds and are unwilling to stretch, to be flexible in what we think about. The wolf spider never builds its web between two hard objects, like two stones. Instinctively, it builds its web between two blades of grass. When the wind comes, the web lowers with the grass until the winds have passed, and then it comes back up and finds its point of balance and equilibrium again. So nature is the archetypal teacher of resilience. If you and I are going to be young at heart, no matter our age, we are going to have balance like the wolf spider and bend like the tree in the wind. And to do this, we need to be aware of where we are the old dog, unwilling to learn new tricks. How can we help ourselves to be more fluid and flexible in our thoughts and actions? So flexibility allows us to be completely present in each moment and to appreciate its newness, filled with the same wonder and zest for life as a small child we once were. In What's Worth Knowing, it's an anthology of interviews with individuals from 70 to 90 plus years. 86-year-old Martha McCallum described an experience. One morning I was sitting at my kitchen table staring into space. It was one of those windy days when the sun keeps going out and coming in. And all of a sudden, a sunbeam crossed my kitchen table and lit up my crystal salt shaker. There were all kinds of colors and sparkles. It was one of the most beautiful sights I'd ever seen. But that very same salt shaker had been on that kitchen table for over 50 years. Surely there must have been other mornings when the sun crossed the table just like that, but I was too busy getting things done. I wondered what else I'd missed, and I realized this was it. This was grace. When you and I are willing to shift our perspective and begin to see the blessings in small things like Martha did in her salt shaker, then we are using our ability to play with the paradoxes. We are seeing more than one side of an experience, and therefore we receive the most from that experience. When I first moved to Florida, I was visiting a church member who was in a retirement village, and you drove in, and the roads became quite small, and you couldn't really pass. And on the way out, I was behind a man who was driving about 7 miles an hour. And I had just come from Los Angeles, so I was still a type A person, and I was in a hurry, and I thought, this old man shouldn't have a license. And he slowed down even more. Finally, he slowed to a complete stop in the middle of the road, so there was no way I could pass him. And by now, I was extremely angry and frustrated at this incompetent old man. And then he opened his door, slowly got out of his car, went to the front of it while I'm still seething, and picked up a turtle that was in the middle of the road, gently putting it safely down on the other side so it could continue its journey. Wow, I thought, what a great guy. What a really nice person. Isn't it great that there are caring people in the world like that? And then I began to laugh out loud. The man hadn't changed. His actions hadn't changed, but my perceptions certainly did, and so did my physical and emotional state. What a lesson. in both flexibility and the ability to see more than one perspective. So we can say that good-natured flexibility allows us to play in the paradox, and playing in the paradox feeds our good-natured flexibility. They come hand in hand. The lesson from home office for today says paradox naturally leads us to a place of curiosity. When we let go of our attachment to one way or another and open to a place of recognizing the benefits and possibilities of both and, we can then approach challenges, obstacles, and problems with a sense of curiosity. So that's our second point, is curiosity. Holding a paradox mindset is the key to curiosity, allowing ourselves to step into a place of high investment, low attachment. We want to be wholly passionate and invested in the solution with low attachment to what that solution looks like. Holding this middle way can be challenging because our inclination is to choose a side or an option and then move quickly in that direction. Staying open and curious keeps us in the potentiality that paradox allows. Albert Einstein said the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries to comprehend only a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. That's one of my favorite statements. Never lose a holy curiosity. And Stephen Hawking advised, look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. Now, here are two of the most outstanding scientists that have ever lived, and they're paying tribute not to the mechanical or scientific way things work, but to the mystery, the awe, the wonder that is all about us in every aspect of life. Holy curiosity. Bishop James Hazelwood tells us that in contrast to nosy and invasive curiosity, the holy form involves being interested and concerned, eager to understand the other person's interests, priorities, and experiences if he or she wants to talk about them. So when you and I, as listeners, are motivated by love, then this form of curiosity becomes holy curiosity. And this is what undergirds the kinds of conversations that we find in our own spiritual circle, the men's group, the writers group, and the classes. And sometimes we find it as we hang around after services with a cup of coffee and a cookie or two. You know, we're right here participating in that holy curiosity. A holy curiosity is our ability to express the overlap of our faith and our daily lives. Despite our secular world, there seems to be a deepening interest in the sacred. And despite all our scientific and technological advances, we still long for the sacred. And since we are by nature meaning-seeking creatures, having a holy curiosity, I think, is one of the best ways to find the sacred in the mundane, which opens us up to connection and to wonder and a sense that there is more of us than meets the eye, that we sang this morning. Holy curiosity enables us to try to better understand the beliefs of others and their priorities. We become open to change within ourselves. And we are also open to see the validity of our own ideas and opinions. So playing in paradox asks us to hold a holy curiosity about every encounter so we can see how much they go hand in hand. And finally, our study from home office tells us that vulnerability is another part of playing in paradoxes. You wouldn't think these things would go together, would you? But they do. It's pretty interesting. And I quote from the material from Home Office, "Staying open and remaining curious and neutral is a very vulnerable space to be in because it is the commitment to staying uncertain. The challenge of vulnerability is that it holds within it a paradox. In Atlas of the Heart, Brené Brown says vulnerability is the first thing we look for in other people and the last thing we want to show them about ourselves. We immediately look for and are drawn to people who are open and vulnerable, willing to show the deepest, messiest parts of themselves to us. Yet we struggle to show those parts to others, feeling they somehow represent a failure on our part. Releasing our self-judgment and getting curious about the paradoxes that show up in our lives allows us to explore those aspects of ourselves that feel vulnerable." In another of her books, Daring Greatly, Brené Brown says vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It's the source of hope, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. If we want greater clarity in our purpose or deeper and more meaningful spiritual lives, vulnerability is the path. You know, many of us have grown up equating vulnerability with weakness, but there's nothing further from the truth. The word vulnerability is derived from the Latin word vulnerare, meaning to wound. The Webster definition includes capable of being wounded and open to attack or damage. Weakness is defined as the inability to withstand attack or wounding. So just from the definitions, weakness stems from a lack of vulnerability. Our strength then lies in our ability to be open and to be vulnerable, knowing that we cannot live a wholehearted life, knowing that we cannot be authentic unless we're willing to feel it all. As Khalil Gibran says, the deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. It's another of those paradoxes. And I believe, too, that the more willing we are to be vulnerable, the less pain we will experience, because our greatest pain is walling ourselves off from life and life's experiences. And that doesn't mean that we deliberately expose ourselves to someone who's going to hurt us. In fact, the ability to be vulnerable includes establishing healthy boundaries. But it does mean to embrace life as it comes to us and respond from that place of wisdom within us. In the song Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen writes, "Love is not a victory march. It is a cold and it's a broken hallelujah." And Brené Brown says love is a form of vulnerability, and if you replace the word love with vulnerability in that line, it is just as true. Vulnerability is life's greatest dare. It's life asking us, are you all in? Can you value your own vulnerability as much as you value it in others? And saying yes to those questions is not weakness. It is courage beyond measure. It's daring greatly. And often the result of daring greatly isn't a victory march as much as it is a quiet sense of freedom mixed with a little battle fatigue. When you and I have grown spiritually, we see ourselves as belonging, as connected, and as a magnificent expression of God. And when we can do that, our vulnerability broadens. We are willing to walk in those two worlds, the human and the divine, the ultimate paradox, so that we are able to see our human world as a friendly place, even if there are spaces and experiences that may not seem so friendly. And that's one of the things I do love about our center. is that we have the opportunity to be vulnerable together. I think what we've done here is we have, in so many areas, and including the center itself, we have created a safe space. So we have created a safe space in our men's breakfast. I hear from what the guys tell me, and usually it's not John, the men's breakfast gives them a place where they can feel vulnerable, where they can share something that they would never have shared without that feeling of safety. And Spiritual Circles does the same thing, offering a safe space to share both the joys and sorrows of our life experiences. And that does the writers group when they come, what Melinda wrote today about Gates. How beautiful. How beautiful. And so do our classes and our book studies. So as you and I continue to play in the paradoxes, we connect and we bond with each other through our own good-natured flexibility, through our holy curiosity, and through the sharing of our vulnerability. And what better way to show our good-natured flexibility? Thank you. Namaste.
Well, I think that, at least I hope, that you're all going to love this song that I wrote for us just for this week. It's called The Curious and the Bold. And yes, we are curious and bold. So, if you care to stand and sing, if you are willing and able. Goes like this. In this life of endless roads, we find comfort in what we know. But the questions that we fear lead us closer, make it clear then. Curious, we are bold, living stories yet untold. In the paradox we find a deeper truth, a grand design. Yeah. Vulnerable and yet afraid, in the mystery we find our way. With open hearts we seek the answers that make us unique. We are curious, we are bold, living stories yet untold. In the paradox we find a deeper truth, a grand design. So let us question, let us seek, in every valley, on every peak. In paradox we'll find our way. Curious souls, we're here to stay. We are curious, we are bold, living stories yet untold. In the paradox we find a deeper truth, a grand design. A deeper truth, a grand design. Hey.
Good for you.
Fun.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
How many ministers have music directors that write music for their Sunday service? That's pretty doggone special, I think. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, it's time for our offering. So won't you join me in our offering affirmation on the left-hand side of our bulletin. My gift goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless all that it touches. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I share generously of my good, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is.
Thank you for my abundance. I feel prosperous. It's all around me. Thank you for my abundance. I feel prosperous. It's all around me.
And I do hope you come Friday. This is really a suggested offering. If you feel like it's too much, it's $20. He's suggested $20 a person. Come anyway, because I know he and Armand has been my friend for 40 some odd years, I think, and Angelina almost that long. And not only are they wonderful talents, but they are wonderful spiritual beings, and you just feel better when you've spent an evening with them. So come and enjoy, please, and don't worry about the money, because he'll be fine. He's going to speak at the at Unity on Sunday, so he'll have some money from that too. So, okay, so let's close this portion out in prayer. Please join us for refreshments afterwards. I know there's one divine mind, and it's the mind that each one of us use. So truly, our thoughts are what shape our lives. And by choosing the thoughts that we want to experience, that then becomes our experience. I speak my word for each one of us here, for anyone having any kind of a challenge. I speak my word for those who are in areas of unrest around the country, around the world, to know that the power and presence of God is in the midst of that unrest. And we speak our word together to bring comfort and safety and peace to those areas that seem to have none of that. I give thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this beautiful spiritual family, and to know that as we speak our word together, that we do change the world in ways we can't imagine. And I simply give thanks for all of this as we say together, and so it is. And maybe stand and sing Stand.
So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace.